fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing, brought to you in part by Ford Trucks, built Ford tough. Lucky Strike, producers of quality fishing tackle and landing nets since 1929. Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Canadian Power and Sail Squadrons, volunteers teaching safe boating.
Let's go fishing whenever you're in the mood. Let's go fishing. Baby, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. You wanna grab your hat, man, and get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
Hey, this is excellent. We actually started this morning and we had overcast conditions and that sun is starting to peek through. And Larry, we've got the first walleye on here and it's 9:20. We were out here for an hour beating the water. It just shows you can't give up, right?
No, you can't. And this fish is a nice fish, Italo.
Well, he's
I haven't got a good look at him, but he looks like a nice fish.
I went with a lighter outfit today, so I don't have a wire leader on there. I think I've only got about 8-pound test. I'm using that Rapala Tough line. And this is just a medium action spinning rod. You know what I noticed? He has one hook of one treble in his mouth. He just got that by the end. So this is where we're going to see, okay, how good you are and how good I am.
That's right.
So just I'm going to try to ease him out. I don't want him to splash around too much.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's hooked too good.
All right. Good job.
Net job.
Nice fish.
Now, let him settle down a little bit because we don't want him to get too excited. I bet you that fish will go about 28, 29 inches. What do you think,
It's a pretty nice fish. Yep, I think you're right.
And you can see he's just got that one hook in his mouth. Do you want to try, see if you can hold it up? We'll get the hook out of it. Okay, Larry. Now, we've got the pliers behind you, but we may not need them. So let's just see here. If I can get him up, get maybe the crankbait out. Yeah, you only had
just
that
one hook.
Yeah, one treble hook. You have to be so careful when you're using crankbaits like this. And I'm kind of leery because I think he's going to start flopping around. So let's just see here. And I try to find the best side to hold them where there aren't trebles. And you know what? I don't see a best side here.
No,
so I
there's
guess
not.
I'm going to have to go like that. You know what, Larry? Those Rapala pliers are on that side pouch again. Okay. That's not bad for starters. I think I overestimated the length of this fish. I think he's about 24 inches or 25.
That's a nice fish, though. He's nice and fat.
Yeah.
Good fish.
And you just nail that crankbait. Yeah, it does really help to have someone in the boat with you that can assist you.
I really can't get at this.
Well, are they kind of jammed in there?
Yeah, they are. They're jammed up against.
Try flipping the pliers because that's got the split ring part when you're trying to yeah. That should help.
There we go.
See if you can get the one.
There we go.
You did that very well, Larry.
Very nice.
So look, one hook, eh?
That's it. That's all he was really on.
Yeah. I think just when we went to net it, you got the other one in there.
Oh, I stuck him in the nose.
That's okay. Let's get the board out since this is the first one today. I'm curious to see how long this guy is. And there's the end there. And we'll just hold it this way so they can all see that we are trying to get a good measurement. His head's right here.
Nice fish.
Yeah, 24 inches. That's not a bad walleye.
Very nice fish.
So I'm just going to lay him down in here. And we're going to wait a minute just so he gets his energy back. These fish are so bright when you're fishing here near the St. Lawrence River. I think these fish swim around mostly suspended in about 30, 40 feet of water. But when they come onto these weed lines, you just get such bright colors. Very healthy, eh? They're very proportional.
They sure are.
Beautiful gold. In any moment now, he should start to get his energy back. Very healthy fish, and there he goes.
Very good.
Larry, you did a great job.
Excellent, Italo. Now, where did you get that fish from? Was he right on the weed line, or was he in the open?
You were just about to say, it looks like we're coming up to a wall of weeds, and we were just cranking. We are still in about 14 feet of water. Larry, I don't know what it is. It's this energy at the front of the boat. I've got another one on here.
And this one came just a couple minutes after that?
Yeah, just 2-3 minutes. I don't think he's as big as the other one, so I think I can handle him on my own, Larry.
Oh, okay.
You keep cranking, because we're on the right spot on the weed line.
All right, I'm going to keep cranking, because we're right on that same spot.
Yeah. I'd say, you know, anywhere in southern Ontario, and even when you get into some of the western provinces, when you get the middle of summer, when you have the nice weed growth, that's the best time to try crankbait fishing. I'm going to see if I can just lift this guy up. He's not going to thrash too much. You have to really wait for the weed beds to get up nice and high, and then these fish will move in. Now look at this guy. He might fly out of my hands. Nice walleye, and he's gone. So you got to wait for the weeds to establish themselves, and a lot of times the fishermen will either fish off the weeds out in deeper water, dragging jigs or live bait, or they'll try to troll near the weeds using floating lures like Rapalas. And I just find, and Larry too, over the years, that if you can get right onto the weed edge, you can really catch these fish. And some of them are like 7, 8 pounds because they're looking for big food like big perch. But the key is to have good boat control, because today you can see we got a little bit of a chop on the water, which is actually what you want for these walleye. And it's so crucial to have your bait probably within 5 feet of the weed line to start off with, and then trying to cast out further to check the deeper water. So what we're going to do here is just continue to go down the shoreline, and you never know, we might get some bass, might get some pike. It's kind of a nice opportunity when the walleye are around the weeds, because you can experiment with different types of crankbaits, and that's exactly what we're doing today. We're trying different colors, different actions, and I'm even trying different outfits as far as, you know, flexibility of rod, stiff rod, heavier line versus lighter line. In this case, because I've gone to about a 1/4 ounce crankbait, I'm using 8-pound test, so it'll really dive nicely. And the rod is a little softer than normal, but sometimes I think that soft is good because you don't rip the hook out of a fish's mouth.
I had a nice tug on the line. It wasn't like a real bite, it was more like a tug. I started pulling it in, and boy, I got it close to the water or close to the boat, and it was looked like a large walleye. So in the net she went. It was one of those netters, and put her in the boat, measured her up at 26.5 inches.
So another question, Terry, that could be on the test for the boater exam is what to do if someone falls overboard. Have you ever had this happen when you've been fishing?
I've taken off, and I've actually rolled out when I was a passenger once.
Oh boy.
It happens.
What did the people do?
Took them a while to figure out I was gone.
Oh, gee. Because what the actual steps, if this were to happen, so if you fell in today, this is what we should be doing. Number one, sound an alarm. Let the people know that somebody's gone over the, you know, it could be man overboard, or it could be a whistle or something. Secondly is to have someone keep their eye on that person that's gone into the water. And if it's at night, it's having a flashlight on it, because we've got nice conditions here, but if it was really windy and rough, it's easy to lose sight of a person.
Sure.
And then trying to get to that person as quickly as possible and throwing him a line with something that floats. Now, everybody's supposed to have in their boat a floating line with either a float at one end or the actual rope that floats to throw it out. So even a seat cushion is really good that floats. You know, tie a rope to it, throw it out there. And then the last important thing is, if it's windy, never to approach the person with the wind, obviously, because you might run them over, right? So you always go into the wind. But that's, again, one of the things that boaters need to know, and it can be one of the test questions. And one of the best places to get all the information is the Canadian Power and Sail Squadron. You can go to their website or come to our Canadian Sportfishing site, and you can study online, or you can study in a classroom, then write your test, and you have it for life.
Well, Italo, it's about 95 degrees today. It wouldn't take a lot of arm twisting to do a simulation on that.
In the water. Well, this is interesting. What we've done is move out to deeper water. As you can see, we've got the open bay of Quinte behind us, and we're working a very big weed bed that doesn't have a definite edge. You know, when it comes to crankbait fishing like this, it really pays to experiment on depth and also on how dense the actual weed beds are. So here we've got a pretty sparse weed bed, but it extends out into about 15 feet of water. And this is the first fish that we've hooked up. And I'm not sure, Larry, if it's going to be a walleye or a northern. All I know is it's tugging pretty good.
You know, Italo, when I just had a fish follow up just while you were bringing this fish into the boat just now.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Was it a walleye?
It was a walleye. Okay, that fish is right under the boat, Italo. It doesn't want to come out. It's staying right there. Oh, there. Oh, man, this is a nice one. Nice fish. Oh, whoa.
Good net job,
Very good, Italo.
See, it pays off to experiment on the deeper weed beds.
It sure does.
So
look at that fish.
Yeah, hold on a sec here. We're going to see if we can get him up. He's got one hook just in the side.
That's right, yeah, just one hook.
This is probably the biggest fish we've hooked so far this morning.
Yeah, this is a good fish, Italo.
Yeah. Now what I was going to show you, I'm just going to step up here without stepping on everything. And I'm not going to handle this fish too long. You can see, this just went into its mouth now when it thrashed. Boy, it was hooked by 2 hooks just on the edge. So these walleyes, even though they've got huge mouths, when they go for a bait, they've got such sharp teeth. And you know what, Larry? I'm going to need those pliers again.
Yeah, I got them handy here, Italo.
Yeah, you knew that. You can see the way the hooks tag on to that fiber right on the edge of the mouth. There's one there. And I'm going to show you the condition of these hooks when I take the hook out and release this fish. They've got so much power. Come on. See, this is the time you have to take with these big fish. Now, there's a nice squinty walleye. That fish is probably about 6-7 pounds, I'm guessing. It's bright yellow, and I've handled him a little bit, so I want to get him into the water so he revives. See if I can get my hand on the back. Perfect. We normally wear the Normar glove, but because we're using the rubber net with the crankbaits, it seems to be fine to handle the fish. Now you can see how strong this wind is because of the way it's putting the torque on the fish. I'm just going to try to extend him out a little bit. Oh, he's ready. And there he goes.
I was using a worm.
How deep? Were you on the bottom using a bobber?
I was like halfway.
Halfway between top and bottom?
Yeah.
Neither here nor there?
Yeah.
With a bobber?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Bobber went underwater?
Yeah.
Fish got hooked?
Yeah.
Tried to give your dad the pole?
Yeah.
Didn't work?
Yeah.
You had to catch it?
Yeah.
That was it. Glory. You had picture and everything's good, and here we are talking to each other. Isn't that all right?
Yeah.
We just had something very cute happen, and Larry will vouch for this.
Yes.
We were just talking about how nice this weed bed is, and every once in a while we're hitting weeds, so we're kind of snapping our rod tips to get the crankbait off the weeds. And I get the lure close to the boat, and I'm snapping my rod tip to get the crankbait off the weeds. And guess what? It snapped back. And it's another nice walleye. He's head shaking like crazy.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up with you, Italo. We'll net this one
he
up
must
there.
have been cruising just over the tip of the weeds.
That's another nice fish. Oh, yeah.
They're wide, eh?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm going to try, I'll lift them up gently.
okay, I'm going to try.
Look at
Oh,
this, just head shake, turns, beautiful body. The torque, when they start just smashing that lure with their head, look, beautiful net job, Larry, that is great. You know,
Another nice fish.
We're making it look easy, right? He's
That's
still
another
thrashing
nice
away.
fish.
Now he's got, again, just one hook. I'm going to try to get the hook out of the fish first. There, and lift him up. I'll get that crankbait later.
Very nice.
Look at the size, the average size of these walleye. All they're doing is cruising along the tops of these weeds in about 15 feet of water, looking for perch. And as most of you know, a walleye is a big perch. They're same family. You know what? That guy had
Nice
tons of
fish.
spunk to
Nice
take off.
fish.
Well,
Nice
this
fish.
lure is still holding together, Larry.
He hit that
You're doing-
hook right
yeah.
toward the front, didn't he?
Yes, yes. So he went for it.
He sure
It's
did.
just funny that I did what you're not supposed to do.
I know. I saw you shaking the rod, and then the next thing I see,
So I got away
fish
with
is
it.
bouncing around.
What do we tell people when we fish? You don't take any chances. You feel something, you set the hook. So you get a bunch of weeds, no problem. There's no embarrassment in it. It's embarrassing when you don't set the hook and then you see the fish and it drops off, right?
Yep. Very good.
When you're casting crankbaits, it really helps to have the right area so that you're in an area where you're on the edge of the weeds and you've got deep water. In this case, you can see out to my left, we've got like 40, 50 feet of water. So all I'm doing is casting my crankbait out. Distance isn't that important because you want to be closer to the weed edge, not to make a really long cast. And what I do is I try to keep my rod tip close to the surface of the water. And if you watch my rod tip, you will see that it's bouncing. So if you watch the rod tip, it's got a nice rhythm to it. If you watch my left hand, you'll see that I also have a very smooth rhythm. My reel isn't going like this back and forth. It's just very smooth. And my right hand, most of my right hand is above where the reel seat is on the rod. I don't have it back here like this because that gives you very little energy when it comes to setting the hook. So I'm going to make a short cast out there where I think the weeds are. And of course, I'm using a Vexilar sonar so I can see on the flasher where the weeds are. So I'm actually very disciplined. You can see how I'm holding that rod very still. I'm feeling every pulse of that crankbait as it's going through the water. And I'm trying to get a nice smooth rhythm. So you can see that that crankbait has a lot of action. Just like that. And if that's interrupted, I'm either going to snap it lightly if I think it's a weed, or I'm going to really reef back and it's going to be a fish. If the wind blows my line, I'll actually flip it over so that the crankbait is coming back straight to the boat. I'm trying to get as much feel on the crankbait. So a lot of people think you get a crankbait, that's weed, so I just had to get off it. See, it's not wobbling anymore. I'll just show you. I don't have that nice wobble. I got weeds on there. So sometimes they come off. There, they came off. Now it's wobbling again. Sometimes you got to reel it in quick and clean it off. You can see the way that's just snapping nicely back and forth. So a lot of people think you just take a crankbait, you fire it out there, it doesn't really matter. That's not the case. It's actually a very disciplined technique where you're fishing. We got weeds from here to shore, and we're out about 200 yards from shore, and we're casting out off the weeds and retrieving it right back to the edge. Doesn't matter whether you use a bait caster or a spinning rod. I'm using a spinning rod today because I've been making casts halfway into the wind and right into the wind. And it's kind of fun. You know, you hook a big fish. I'm using small, sharp hooks with very little barbs so that I don't, even with the stretch in the line, I don't have to really riff it. All I have to do is just hold back and I'll get those fish on. You know, I can't get over how important it is to have an electric trolling motor when it comes to boat control, to be able to crankbait properly, especially for some of the larger fish. I think fishermen don't realize that, having used an electric before, what an advantage it is. We've been using the Minn Kota Genesis, which is their hydraulic up and down unit, and it's awesome. And I'm just trying to keep the pressure on this guy. He hit only about 10 or 15 feet away from the boat, Larry.
Right close in.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell size-wise. I'm just trying to kind of keep the pressure on. For some reason, they keep staying under the boat. I don't know if that's because the wind is blowing like the boat on top of them or what.
I don't know, Italo, you're right. Every one of them has gone directly under the boat. As soon as you hook them, right under the boat.
Now, you and I take it for granted, you know, the fishing is so good. I would encourage you fishermen that like to get walleye and all kinds of fish, if you want to get information on updates, you know what? If you go to our Canadian-sportfishing.com site, you're going to get all the information to get fish like this. Oh, there goes.
That?
Did you see that?
I saw it coming loose, Italo. I slid it under there just as it came out.
Now, I'm going to see if I can hold this guy without getting my hands in its gill plate. So it might fly to my hands because I'm not wearing a glove.
I wonder how much that fish weighs. That's a nice fish.
Should we weigh it?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's weigh that one.
Let's get the scales.
Get the scale out
He
here.
is so gold. And I'll try putting this. I don't want to hurt him. I don't know if he's going to thrash. You know what, Larry? This fish is 5.5 pounds.
That is a good fish.
Which isn't bad. And I'm just going to take that scale out of its mouth and hold him up so you can get a good look at it. Isn't that a nice walleye? We're staying here at Merlin Cottages, which is right near Picton. And beautiful for families, you know. It's not a real fancy place, but the cottages are very comfortable. And you can catch walleye like this all summer long. Just going to extend this guy out, hold him for a minute. Look at how brilliant. You can see why they call them yellow walleye. They are gold. And boy, do fishermen love these fish. They hit well, they fight good. They don't taste too bad, do they?
Oh, no, they don't. Oh, there's one, Italo. I got one back.
I see him.
Did
he hit it right here?
Right here by the boat.
Awesome.
You just released that fish, and you got on me about not catching a fish. Now here's one.
No, yeah, I didn't mean anything by that. I was just wondering whether you're being your courteous self, you know.
Right here. It's right by the boat, and they hit so hard.
That's a good sign.
It is a nice fish, yeah. And I'll tell you what, he does not want to come in, Italo.
Well, you can see the water's not that clear. We can make out the walleye about 3-4 feet down.
He sees the boat, and he's trying to do just what your fish did, go right under the boat.
You know, he's only got one treble in the corner.
Oh,
man, I'm going to wait. You know what? He's not ready yet. I'm going to wait till you get him
I'm going to bring him up for you, Italo.
Look at that.
Oh, he's just in there very slightly. Good net job. Excellent, excellent.
Larry, that's
it's a nice fish.
Oh, yeah. We're averaging good fish.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me get the pliers. Here, you hold the net.
I'll hold the net.
We're going to be very careful here.
I'm good at holding nets.
Yeah. Lots of practice,
yes.
Right? So what's happening here, these walleye don't care that it's midday or that it's bright, sunny skies out. Like you hear a lot that, you know, you got to get out early for a good-sized walleye. And the reason being, they're seriously feeding. I think that they're looking for perch and other large bait fish, that are in deep water, not shallow water and not near the bottom. These fish are definitely cruising suspended, much like bass, I'd say. So they're hitting extremely aggressively. Right, Larry? It's like
they
almost
are.
jerking the rod out of your hand.
Yeah, they just, one big jerk, and they're on there, basically.
Good-sized walleye. And you know what? We've only been fishing like 3-4 hours, and that's all we did yesterday. You can get fish like this all day long down here, as long as you're willing to experiment and try different spots. And we've got a good selection of crankbaits. Now, I'm going to show you the selection that both Larry and I have. They're very similar to each other. Larry, you can actually cast while I'm talking.
All right.
Because I got to show them the different colors because they're very important. All I'm going to do is take my glasses off here while I do this. I don't take a lot of tackle, and neither does Larry when he comes here, as far as, you know, a lot of twisters and live bait rigs. It's primarily crankbaits. This is the guide series. It's kind of nice because you can put all your gear in here, soft bags. I've got some of their Tackle Logic bags in there. But really, I just use these, and you can see here, the satchel says suspending wraps, shad wraps. And there's a whole variety of them here. And then here, I've got some of the newer lures from Rapala, and you can see the Tail Dancer, which has been one of my favorite in the last 2 years. I even have a shallow running shad wrap. And then the lures that are working really well for walleye that they actually have in the pearl finish, and we've been using the pearl finish today. This is called a Thunder Crank, and it's made by Storm. And it has rattles, very loud rattles. It doesn't have a very long lip, but you can see that the diameter is quite large, so that gives it a really nice action. And the color is what's really important. All of the fish we've caught today have been on pearl. And I tried casting chartreuse earlier, and Larry in the past has had a really good luck on a foil finish, like a silver finish, but for some reason, this color has been working really well.
Canadian Sport Fishing has been brought to you in part by Ford Trucks, built Ford tough. Lucky Strike, producers of quality fishing tackle and landing nets since 1929. Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Canadian Power and Sail Squadrons, volunteers teaching safe boating.